Let me see your casserole. Thanks for joining me, and today I'm going to make a breakfast casserole. I talk a lot about how breakfast or brunch is my favorite meal of the day. I don't eat it all too often, but I love to make it. For me, it's all about the layers of the casserole that form these, really they're just like perfect little sandwiches that have been soaked in this egg batter that almost cooks like a French toast. It's something that I really feel that you have to do the day before and is my go-to for holidays and things like that, because truth be told, no one wants to spend their holiday morning in the kitchen. You want to spend your holiday morning with family or going for a walk, or, I mean, Santa just came, so like opening presents and, you know, all of those fun things. Let me walk you through the ingredients today. I like to make my breakfast casserole with a delicious sourdough, some forest ham, farm fresh eggs, any type of shaved cheese will do. This is a Rosa Maria. It's a local aged goat cheese, easily substitutable for a cheddar, a provolone, a pepper jack. The cheese is really, you know, that's a personal preference thing, really whatever makes you happy. I'm gonna layer with some fresh spinach, pickles. I'm gonna make a custard by caramelizing some onions, adding some roasted garlic, deglazing with a local hard cider, which I think kind of really rounds it all out. Finishing with some whole grain mustard, which is like Midwesterners caviar, lemon zest, and some fresh herbs. For the custard itself, I start by caramelizing a julienned onion. Some butter, delicious homemade butter. So in a perfect world, you want to start with a hearty sourdough. I like to slice my bread the day before and allow it to dry out, like if I was going to make a French toast or something. The drier the bread, the better it's going to absorb the egg batter that I add to it. Now, if you don't have time to make this a day ahead, you're not thinking ahead, or for whatever reason it doesn't happen, we can slice our bread, put it on a sheet pan, and we can bake it in the oven at 350 degrees for 5 minutes or so, and that's just going to take out any excess moisture that's going to allow this to soak it all up. In the onions goes fresh herbs. I have a bay leaf, fresh thyme, sprig of rosemary. The bay leaf and the thyme I'll pull out before I put the custard in the blender. The rosemary I'm gonna leave in. For me, breakfast casseroles are like the absolute best way to start the morning. I am personally not a huge fan of sweet breakfasts, although I do like pancakes. And so this combines everything. It's full of meat, it's full of protein, it's full of bread, so you get the carbs. It's like, I mean, it's just, you're either gonna start your day and you're gonna be like charged and ready to roll, or you're gonna like totally wanna take a nap and lay on the couch and watch TV. For this dish, the active time is relatively short. It's really about getting your ingredients cut and sliced so that we can start to form our layers in the casserole. Once everything's cut, this comes together pretty quickly. I have these bread and butter pickles that I'm slicing as thin as you can get them. Bread knife works great for it. And I have a little bit of the brine that I'm going to reserve back that's going to go in the custard itself. All right, pickles are sliced, bread's sliced, my ham is sliced, my cheese is sliced. The smell of these onions starting to caramelize with all the fresh herbs. When I'm caramelizing onions, I like to deglaze off the bottom of the pan. I often feel that, you know, this deliciousness, these nubbins on the bottom, we call this in the professional culinary world, we call this the fond that you're developing on the bottom of the pan. Oftentimes I feel like people think that that's, you know, that's burnt, and to me that's really the best part. That's where all your flavor's hiding. I like to deglaze with a white wine, a red wine, a spirit of some kind. In this case, I'm going to use a local hard cider. I think that the sweetness really complements well with the onions, and it kind of cuts through some of the creaminess of the cheese and the ham and the custard that I'm gonna add it to. It's gonna pick all that crispy, delicious bits off the bottom. Kind of do that in stages, so I'm gonna allow the cider to reduce and soften the onions. Once it becomes really almost dry, we call it all sec in the kitchen, allow the onions to caramelize a little bit more, and then I'm gonna add some more cider until the can's gone. I like to give the onions a jump start on the roasted garlic. I feel that garlic is delicious when caramelized, but there's this crossover point where you go from caramelized to slightly overcooked, and then it becomes kind of bitter. And this has already been roasted and is slightly caramely as it is. So once my onions reach this point where they're really starting to soften and caramelize, absorb some of that cider, that's when I'll go ahead and add my garlic. So I'm about halfway through the process. While my onions are caramelizing, all my other ingredients are sliced, or I'm gonna start making the egg base for the custard. 8 eggs. I'm gonna go in with the rest of my cider. You can see the onions are really starting to caramelize here. Developing a little bit more of that fond on the bottom of the pan. Garlic's caramelizing as well. I mean, it smells delicious. My onions are softened, caramelized, garlic's caramelized. I was really waiting for my cider to finish reducing down to almost dry, because the only liquid that I really want in the custard are the eggs and the cream and the milk. And then there's gonna be plenty of liquid that's made from the puree of the garlic and the onions. Thyme and bay leaf has been removed. Rosemary stayed in. Wonderful. Just what we want. Color leaves a little something to be desired, but that doesn't matter. Puree. This is half and half, equal parts heavy cream, whole milk, just to loosen it up. We'll start the blender on slow. And then I can start to add the eggs while it's still warm. We just kind of add them slowly, and essentially what we're doing is we're just tempering the eggs. Not necessary. You can make your puree before and add your eggs cold. Doesn't really matter. I'm human, and I forgot to put in the mustard. So the mustard's going in now. I'm ready to start assembling this casserole here. Bread, ham, pickles, spinach, cheese, and then we'll finish by pouring the custard over the entire thing, allowing that to sit overnight and soak up all that batter, and then we'll bake it. My first layer, my first pinwheel, I have all the bread going in one way. On this next round, I want the bread just to go the opposite way. Same process. Bread, spinach, ham, cheese, picker. Last piece here, I'm just gonna tuck in like so. Beautiful. Makes me happy. Put a little pressure on it, a little weight, just to make sure everything's secure, snug. Custard goes in. I don't know. It feels weird pouring custard all over cheese and ham and things, but it's so good. It's the right way to do it here. What's great about doing this the night before is you really allow the bread the time that it takes to absorb the batter or the custard. Pour it in my first round. I'm gonna give a little press. A good check test is you want to see the custard just oozing out of the sides and out of the bottom of the bread. So when you first pour this in, it's gonna feel like you overdid it a little bit. You'll be amazed that when you check this in the morning, how much it's just soaked up. A little fresh cracked black pepper over the top. Lid goes on. We go to refrigerate overnight. We come back, we bake it tomorrow. For you guys, I already started one, so I'm gonna go check on it. It's been in a 350-degree oven for about an hour and 10 minutes. Let's see how it's doing. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. She's hot. So I've been baking mine, like I said, for about an hour and 10 minutes or so, covered in a 350-degree convection, so with the fan on, oven. You can see that the top is totally set. What's oozing out is not raw egg, it's just a little bit of oil, a little bit of grease. That's just delicious. That's coming from the ham. You can lift some of the bread and just check to see if your custard's set, which it absolutely is. I have cooked egg, ham fat, only delicious things. I am fully cooked and set. I want to let this rest for about 10 minutes before I slice into it. I think that one of the greatest things in life is pickle juice, right? Pickle juice and whiskey, pickle juice and anything really. I like to take a little pickle juice, go over the top, soak into that bread. There's some chili flakes in here, adds a little heat. Lemon zest. The ham has plenty of natural salinity to it, and so does the cheese. So I'm not going to add any finishing salt. A few fresh chives. Beautifully set custard. All these different micro layers. It's like a little sandwich in every bite. Let's try it out. Get a little bit of everything in each bite. That ham is fork tender. Smoky, it's creamy, herbal, it's aromatic, it's hearty. Thanks so much for joining me today. We've got some incredible content coming your way in 2019, full of some more of my favorite dishes to make, both at home, over open fire, on the road, and really everywhere in between. Happy holidays to you and yours. We'll see you next time, guys. Take care. Thanks for tuning in today. If you're enjoying our series, please feel free to hit subscribe below so you can be the first in the loop to join us each week as we release new content. Whole grain mustard, caviar from the Midwest. I love this stuff. I mean, I could live off of it.